The ceiling fan spun above Matthew Hale like a slow, hypnotic clock, slicing the warm Los Angeles air into uneven pulses. It was past midnight, and the bedroom windows were cracked open to let in a faint ocean breeze drifting in from Santa Monica. The usual sounds of the city, distant sirens, the muffled hum of traffic from the 405, were there, but something else was missing. Her breathing. The other side of the bed was empty. Again. Matthew reached over instinctively, fingers brushing cool sheets. No indentation. No warmth. Not even the faint scent of her lavender lotion. He rubbed his eyes, trying to ignore the unease creeping through him for the third time this month. Emma wasn't a night owl, nor was she the type to take late-night drives. She worked early mornings at the studio as a junior costume designer. Sleep was practically her religion. But tonight, like the last two, she was gone past midnight without explanation. He sat up, running a hand through his short brown hair. Moonlight fractured through the blinds, drawing pale stripes across the floor and the half-open walk-in closet door. Emma's purse was missing. So were her favorite white sneakers. He checked the time again. 12:47 a.m. Too late for a coffee run, too early for a morning gym session, and definitely too strange for anything that made sense. Matthew reached for his phone. A text from 7 hours ago blinked at him. Working late at the studio, don't wait up Red Heart. Ordinary. Sweet. Innocent. But now it felt staged, like punctuation at the end of a lie. He typed. Where are you? Everything okay? 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Reappeared. Then. Driving home. Didn't hear my phone. Love you. He stared at the message. She always used emojis. Always signed her texts with something more warm than love you. And she was driving home, from where? Studio hours ended at 10. A cold knot formed in Matthew's chest. He didn't know it yet, but this was the beginning of the unraveling, the first thread pulled from the fabric of their 8-year marriage. And by the time the truth came fully into view, nothing in their perfect Los Angeles life would be left untouched. Morning sunlight hit Los Angeles like a spotlight on a stage, bright, hot, and exposing every flaw. By 8 a.m., Matthew had already showered, shaved, and forced himself into his usual routine. He loaded his camera equipment into the Jeep. Photography gigs paid well, but in LA, everyone was trying to make it, so consistency came from hustling, networking, and sometimes pure luck. Emma emerged from the house just as he was tightening the straps on a tripod case. She was dressed casually, jeans, a white fitted top, hair pulled back into a loose bun that looked too artfully effortless to be accidental. Hey, she said, leaning in to kiss him. Her lips were soft, but her eyes flickered away too quickly. Rough night. I'm exhausted. Where were you? Matthew asked gently, not confrontational, just confused. You got home around 1. Her body stiffened almost imperceptibly. I told you, we had to finish pieces for the early shoot today. The director moved up the schedule. It's just crunch time, she said. You know how LA is. She kissed him again, then walked to her car, leaving him with a hollow ache he couldn't shake. Matthew watched her drive away, dust dancing in the morning sun. And then, by coincidence, he noticed something. A small smear of dark red lipstick on her jawline. Not her shade. Not anything she'd worn in years. His pulse froze. But he said nothing. Not yet. Days passed, and Emma's late nights became the rule, not the exception. Matthew tried to swallow the doubt, telling himself he was just being paranoid. LA jobs were demanding, studios were unpredictable, and creatives constantly pushed deadlines. But the signs multiplied. She smelled of cologne, not his, twice in 1 week. She hid her phone under pillows. She showered immediately upon coming home. She changed her lock screen. Her laughter, once loud and bright, now felt muted. Matthew's friends noticed too. While shooting engagement photos in Silver Lake, his friend and assistant Jordan said quietly, "You alright, man? You look like you haven't slept since Comic-Con." Matthew forced a smile. "Just stressed. Work is crazy." Jordan hesitated. "It's Emma, isn't it?" Matthew froze. "Why would you say that?" Jordan chewed his lip, debating whether to speak. "I saw her 2 nights ago near the Arts District. She wasn't alone." Everything inside Matthew went still. "Who was she with?" I didn't see clearly." Jordan looked pained. "But it wasn't a coworker. She was holding someone's arm." Matthew swallowed hard, the world tilting. He knew he had to see for himself. Friday evening in Los Angeles was a chaotic symphony of neon lights, honking cars, and too many people trying to be somewhere else. Matthew followed Emma's car from a distance, just far enough to keep headlights from reflecting in her rearview mirror. She didn't head toward the studio lot. She drove past it. Down Melrose. Into West Hollywood. Through a series of turns too precise to be random. Finally, she parked behind a boutique hotel, one of those sleek, minimalist places that celebrities used when they wanted privacy. Matthew's stomach crashed. He watched as she stepped out of her car, tucking her hair behind her ear nervously. Then he appeared. Tall. Tanned. Wearing a fitted t-shirt and dark jeans. Confident. Too comfortable approaching her. Emma walked straight into his arms. They kissed, slow, familiar, practiced. Matthew's breath left his lungs like a punch. His wife. His Emma. The woman who promised him forever in a Malibu vow exchange under purple sunset skies. She was cheating on him. The hotel door swallowed them both. Matthew sat in his car for a long time, gripping the steering wheel until his knuckles whitened, the roar of Los Angeles nightlife bleeding through the windows. He didn't cry. Not yet. He drove home with shaking hands, the city lights streaking like tears across the windshield. And by morning, he had transformed into a man on a mission. Matthew needed answers. Not rumors. Not assumptions. Facts. He started with the hotel. He waited outside the next 2 nights, documenting times, dates, movements. Emma was there Saturday. And Tuesday. And Thursday. Matthew took photos, enough to destroy a marriage, a career, or a reputation, depending on how he chose to use them. But he didn't know the man's name until fate handed it to him. Tuesday afternoon, while delivering edited photos to a client in West Hollywood, Matthew overheard 2 studio workers chatting on the sidewalk. "Did you see Daniel last night? He looks exhausted. Dude's juggling way too many women." "Well, that's actors for you." Daniel. Actor. Studio affiliated. Matthew stopped mid-step. Actors. Studio. Late nights. CD Productions, Emma's division, hired actors regularly for costume fittings. A chill went down his spine. He had seen the man before. Not up close. But from behind cameras on set. Daniel Royce. Up-and-coming TV actor. Known for playing charming villains on streaming dramas. In Hollywood, men like him were everywhere, attractive, cocky, dangerous in all the ways that made trouble find them like magnets. Matthew felt sick. His wife was having an affair with a walking cliché. But clichés destroyed marriages too. Confrontation arrived on a Sunday morning, not because Matthew planned it, but because heartbreak sometimes forced its own timeline. Emma came home early, surprisingly early, her hair still damp from a shower, wearing a hoodie Matthew didn't recognize. A man's hoodie. He stood at the kitchen counter, making coffee. His hands trembled only slightly. "You were with him again," Matthew said quietly, without turning. The air fractured. Emma froze behind him. What? Don't, he said. Please don't lie to me anymore. She opened her mouth but no sound came out. Her chest rose and fell quickly. Matthew turned slowly. How long? Emma's face broke, not into tears, not into guilt, but into panic. Matthew. How long, he repeated. A few months, she whispered. His heart cleaved. A few months, he echoed. While telling me you worked late. While sleeping in our bed. I didn't mean for it to happen, she said, voice trembling. Daniel understands me in a way. He slammed the mug onto the counter, coffee splashing. He's a fantasy, Emma. He's a temporary ego boost wrapped in muscles and scripted compliments. That's not fair. No. Matthew stepped closer. What's unfair is you choosing him over your vows. Over us. Over 8 years. Tears finally filled Emma's eyes. I didn't choose him. I didn't know how to tell you I wasn't happy anymore. It was the sentence that destroyed the last piece of him. Matthew exhaled, long and shaky. So what now? You want a divorce? I don't know. Silence swallowed everything. Then Matthew walked past her, grabbed his keys, and left before grief turned to rage. He drove until the city blurred, through Beverly Hills, down Sunset, toward the ocean that had witnessed too many broken promises. His phone buzzed once. Emma. I'm sorry. Sorry didn't fix betrayal. It never would. Heartbreak could have turned Matthew into a ghost. Instead, it turned him sharp. Focused. Dangerous. He didn't scream, beg, or collapse. Instead, he prepared. LA taught people one thing. Appearance is everything. And the truth, when revealed correctly, could burn hotter than the California sun. Matthew gathered the evidence, photos, timelines, hotel receipts he discreetly requested copies of, text messages he coaxed Emma into admitting existed. He consulted a lawyer. He learned his rights. He learned California divorce laws favored proof of misconduct in certain asset disputes. And then he waited. Until the perfect moment. The studio's annual spring gala, a glittering event where producers, actors, directors, and crew mingled under chandeliers inside a downtown LA rooftop venue. Emma would be there, professionally. Daniel would be there, proudly. Matthew arrived dressed in a tailored black suit, looking every bit the successful photographer he was becoming. People smiled, greeted him, unaware he carried a nuclear secret inside his jacket pocket. At 9:42 p.m., when the speeches began and the lights dimmed, Matthew stepped onto the small stage with quiet confidence. The host looked startled. Matthew? Everything all right? He took the mic, sorry for the interruption. I'll be quick. Emma, near the back, stiffened instantly. Daniel, beside her, shifted uncomfortably. Matthew clicked a button. The giant LED screen behind him lit up. Photo number 1. Emma and Daniel outside the Melrose Boutique Hotel. A ripple of gasps cut through the room like a blade. Emma's hands flew to her mouth. Daniel swore under his breath. Photo number 2. Them kissing. Photo number 3. Hotel timestamp, date overlay clear as day. Whispers. Shock. Phones raised. Careers trembling. Matthew's voice was steady. My wife and Mr. Royce have been conducting an affair for several months. I've stayed silent, until today. The room spun with scandal. Executives stared at Daniel with disgust. Colleagues looked at Emma with pity or judgment. Her boss glared, workplace misconduct was a liability. Matthew ended plainly. I'll be filing for divorce tomorrow. Thank you for your time. He stepped off the stage to dead silence, then walked out into the warm Los Angeles night as if shedding an entire life behind him. His phone buzzed wildly, unknown numbers, frantic texts, studio damage control. But he ignored them all. Behind him, Daniel's career began crumbling. Emma's reputation shook. And the industry swallowed the scandal like fresh meat. Matthew didn't smile. But he felt something close to justice. Emma showed up at the house the next morning, eyes swollen, voice small. "How could you do that to me?" Matthew laughed bitterly. "To you? You destroyed our marriage, Emma. I just turned on the lights. I lost my job," she whispered. "And Daniel." "Oh, good," Matthew said coldly. "Consequences." Emma broke down sobbing. "I made a mistake. One terrible mistake. I was confused. I was lonely. You were loved," Matthew said. "You were supported. And you threw it away." He signed the divorce papers 2 weeks later. She moved out quietly, leaving behind the wedding album, the houseplants he bought her, and the life she no longer wanted. Matthew kept nothing except the camera he'd used to catch the truth. 6 months later, Los Angeles was just as loud, bright, and unforgiving as always. But Matthew had changed. He opened a new studio in Culver City, specializing in portrait photography. His work gained traction. Clients respected his professionalism, unaware of the fire that once burned inside him. He healed, slowly, painfully, but genuinely. One evening, while shooting headshots for a young actress, she said softly, "You have kind eyes. They look like someone who's been through hell and survived." Matthew smiled faintly. Maybe he had. The sunset burned orange outside his studio window, the kind of LA sky that made people believe in fresh starts. He didn't know what the future held. But he knew this. He would never again ignore the quiet places where love cracked. And he would never again doubt his own worth. Los Angeles didn't break him. It revealed him.